minute. You have an opportunity to come to Shavers Creek Environmental Center Outdoor School at Penn State. We run this program every semester, and so you miss a week of classes to come work with kids. It's a really great experience to give back to the community and also for you. You'll realize maybe in this short week you really like working with people, and there's a million jobs working with people. You might realize you like working in education. There's a million jobs in education. You might realize you literally just like working outdoors, like in nature. There's a million jobs there too. You make amazing friends, and really it's making a difference in the world to plant those seeds for young people, to be a good role model, and to help to make the world a better place. So a lot of people come back each semester and do it again because they have such a great experience. Some people go on to be one of the teachers for the program, and so it's a really, really cool opportunity. So again, we go to some classes, but we're really lucky to come here because we know all of you would do such a great job.
So listen, so the key ideas here, these are what, fourth graders?
Fifth graders,
Fifth graders.
Yep.
So fifth graders are coming from around the state or around the region mostly?
Around the region, yep.
And these are kids who really could use a week away and get some mentoring from college students.
For some kids, this will be their only opportunity, you know, with this kind of experience with people like you, with each other, that sort of camp experience. It's really meaningful, yep.
So you might think of yourself, you might not think of yourself as a mentor, as someone who can mentor kids, but you have an opportunity here. And you're especially looking for men.
Yeah, definitely men and women, all kinds of people, all kinds of majors. You get 2 credits for doing 1 week, also 75 volunteer or community service hours. So it's a really good deal. I feed you all week. The food's great. It's just like the dining hall, all good stuff.
But you have a harder time getting men to apply.
We do, yeah. Women typically go into these fields, but we all know that, you know, boys need good role models. We all, you know, everyone needs good role models, all kinds of people. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
So in this class, so you have to miss a week of school. But, you know, professors know about this, and the vast majority are fine with it. And in this class, of course, you can just watch the recordings and submit the class reflection video assignment. So it's fine. It's good for this class. And it's a great opportunity to make a difference in kids' life. Anybody in here was ever part of our outdoor school as a young person? Yeah. All right. Well, it's cool. It's a really cool experience. So if you are interested, wait, do you have some flyers?
I did not bring flyers. You can snap a picture there. Yep.
We'll send this out. It'll be on our website. We'll send it out. Dude, thanks, cool. Man. Good luck.
You. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So their website, if you go to social19.org and you look up Get Involved, you'll see Outdoor School there. Hey, that's today's class. Welfare. All right. And before we introduce our 3 volunteers, I want to say this. Wait, first off, put your laptops away if your laptop's out. All right. Dude, nice. There's always space for one more volunteer. And so if we start class today and you just feel like, oh man, I should have been selected to volunteer, hey, let us know, all right? Raise your hand and let us know. You can come up here. We have space for another person. So if you feel like you've got a story or you have something you really want to contribute, then by all means, okay? Is that cool? That's how we're going to roll. All right, so listen, let's introduce yourselves and where you're from and that kind of thing.
Hey everyone, my name's Danish. I'm a senior computer science major. And I moved here 4 years ago from the UK, and yeah, I originally grew up in the UK.
You moved here to go to school?
No, I moved here with my family.
Oh, with your family? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Danish,
yeah.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Emily. I'm from outside of Philly. I'm a senior here, and I study psychology.
Wait, do you have, where's the other one? Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, my name's Jaden Davey. I'm originally from New York, but I moved to New Jersey when I was around 10. I'm a political science major and a freshman at Penn State University.
Mm-hmm. What's your family? Okay.
On my mother's side, I'm Jamaican. They're all immigrants, and on my father's side, it's just over and around Brooklyn, Queens, New York.
Brooklyn is its own racial category, right?
It is. I mean, you could say that for all the boroughs,
Yeah.
really.
And what's your ancestry?
Me and my family are Pakistani.
Pakistani? Yeah. Okay. Hey, so listen, welfare. When we say the word welfare, when you see that, okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Where's your mind go? What do you think about? Anybody can start. Yeah.
I think it's usually programs to help people who can't necessarily afford those things on their own.
Programs to help people who can't afford things, who need to do something. How about?
Yeah, necessities, yeah.
Okay, Emily.
I think of governmental assistance, so like food stamps, access to health care, Social Security.
Social Security is welfare?
I mean, is it not?
Huh.
Like disability
Okay,
checks
disability.
and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yep, disability for sure. Yeah, okay, yep.
When I think of welfare, I think of, like they said, government assistance, financial assistance for at-risk or impoverished or people with disabilities, basically to help them live as normal of a life as possible.
And wait, what kind of life?
As normal of a life as possible.
Is normal of life. What would that mean for you?
For me, that means the ability to achieve the so-called American dream, to achieve upward mobility, to have hope that, your future generations can live a better life than you had. I think that's what should be an average life for an American.
Okay, so listen. So let me be clear on one thing. So we're just having a conversation to see how people of your generation or people are thinking about welfare. That's it. You know, right? Like I don't want to take you in a certain direction. I don't want you to think a certain thing afterwards. I'm just really curious. The other day, here's what it was actually. So I was in Chicago, and last week over the weekend, and there were a lot of homeless people, and there aren't many homeless people in State College. I mean, I was in New York over the summer. I spent a lot of time in Seoul, South Korea. There aren't hardly any homeless people. But anyway, I was encountering so many people, and I just was wondering, like, what's the story? And what's your story? Right? What's the story of you all? And I just thought, well, why don't I ask? Why don't I find out? Because I don't know what you're thinking. All right. So listen. In what ways do people receive welfare? Well, what do they receive?
Well, I'd say that you have, the more positive side of it. They believe that by giving, subsidies to these disadvantaged groups that...
No, what do they actually receive? Like, so subsidies, right?
They receive money, food stamps, things of that nature. And they believe that, by giving them that, they'll be able to live a better life and they'll be able to, achieve upward mobility and increase their status in the United States. But then you also have the negative side of it where people believe that by giving them...
Well, hang on. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So so what do people receive from your end? Like, what are you thinking?
I think of like children receiving free school lunches or free healthcare or more accessible healthcare in their areas, for example.
So lunches, like money, right? Rent payments, help with schooling, Head Start, this kind of thing, right? Okay. Bro, how's it different here than what do people receive in the UK? Do you know?
I mean, the first example that jumps to my mind is probably the NHS.
NHS,
Like, like public health care, like that sort of stuff.
And it's welfare because, wait, are you saying, do people get something that's different than what everybody gets in the UK?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same all around, I think.
So everybody gets a kind of a healthcare subsidy, so to speak, in the UK. Although some people can get better healthcare than other people if they pay for it, right? But there's
Yeah,
sort of
like
a
private
base level.
healthcare, but for usually like for most like UK citizens, like it's like if you want like a doctor checkup or something like that, it's not gonna like cost you. Like it's provided by the government.
Okay. So people get all of these things. Which people? Like who's getting welfare? Like who's getting? Yeah, who's receiving this? Like what kind of people? What?
I would say people that don't have the money to necessarily like afford weekly groceries, or who would benefit from having the stress of those financial responsibilities taken off of them. People apply for it, and then they can get approved from the government.
Do you have, Danish? How about you? Like, who's getting? Is that my question? Yeah, which people? Like, who's getting welfare?
And when you say which people, are you talking about like a demographic?
Well, actually,
or?
actually, let me ask that question. Are there certain groups of people who are more likely to get welfare than other groups of people? Some kind of demographic? Like what do you hear? Like what's the story you hear? Again, this isn't like what do you know? It's like what's the story you hear? What's the story out there?
Well, I mean, it's usually going to people who are like, I guess, lower income, like can't really afford it on their own. Like they need like assistance to like get the necessary like basic needs that they can like survive on usually.
Okay, so lower income people. Who else? What other what are there certain demographics? Like, like people from certain areas of the world, people of certain racial groups, people of like, what's the story? Jaden, how?
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you what you want to hear.
No, it's not what I want to hear. No, I just want to know, like, what's the story that you hear?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, historically, black people have been disadvantaged and have been more susceptible to becoming impoverished or at risk. So typically, well, in a lot of neighborhoods, black people tend to be the people who need welfare most of the time.
When you say need welfare, what do you mean by need welfare?
They're the people who tend to be of low income. And so when I say like they need welfare, they're typically the ones applying for it and the ones that are heavily benefiting from those welfare programs.
Okay, so here, you're 18 years old, right?
Yes.
So you've heard that it's black people. Black people are more likely to use welfare or receive welfare.
That's what they say on the news oftentimes.
So how do you know that? How do you know? How do you have a sense of whether that's true or not?
I'd say, other than articles I've read, I'd say it's based on my own personal experience in Brooklyn, New York, and going to other parts, other boroughs. A lot of the times, the people on the street in those areas do tend to be black people, also other minorities, Hispanics. So, historically marginalized communities, they tend to be the ones that you would find, and
Hey, okay, Emily, how about you? What's the story you hear about what groups are most likely to receive welfare?
The way, I guess what I jump to is thinking about, like, I guess single parents, maybe younger parents or younger individuals. People with disabilities. I do think that there is statistical evidence that like racial and ethnic minorities are more on welfare.
Disproportionately more likely to receive. But white people are much larger in number.
I think that's what I've seen.
Let me ask you this. When we say, like Jaden here, Danish, right? Danish? All right. Jaden's saying, like, we're talking about needing welfare, right? Why do people need welfare? What do we mean by that? Like, oh, this person needs assistance. Like, what do we mean by that?
Well, I mean, if it's a need, it's something they need to like necessarily survive, right? So like, hypothetically, if like say, you know, a loved one was like injured, like a car crash or something,
Okay.
and let's say you're like not making very much money, like you barely make your own, you know, ends meet.
Uh-huh. So maybe one of the main income earner in a household can no longer work. Disability,
Yeah.
car accident, something. It's like, okay, they need. What else? What are other? So that's one reason. Do you have to have something really bad happen to you that you need welfare?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, maybe like two parents have a kid that they need to send to like school, but like, you know, they don't
Okay.
have enough money to like give him like a packed lunch or something,
And why
or
don't
like
they
pay
have
for his
enough
school.
money? Like, so now we're gonna start walking down this road, right? Okay, the three of you, we're gonna now go to. So why would somebody not have enough money?
Well, there's probably a lot of reasons, honestly. I can't really think of like one specific one. Like,
Jaden, if someone doesn't have enough money, okay, why is it your responsibility? Is it your responsibility? And if so, how do you come to that? That you pay taxes and you give some of your money to somebody else who doesn't have enough money. Where does your mind go in that?
Well, well, all Americans, I mean, we're all living in a very large community. And in order for a nation to be successful, we have to be able to rely on each other and give our taxes not only just to provide for the poor, but to provide for other, you know, things that we need around.
Wait, are you a Christian?
I am, yes.
All right. That's a very Christian answer, by the way.
Okay.
Jesus would be proud. All right. Okay. I don't mean that physically. I mean, I say it kind of like that. But no, seriously, that's a very Christian answer. Like, okay,
Yeah,
we're all in a community together. We help one another. Like, okay. So that's one answer. What's another reason that you're like, okay, these people need it. Like, does everybody who collects welfare need it? Like, Emily?
The way that I view welfare is I think people can be working really hard and whether they're a single parent or it's two parents, and they can be working in jobs where they don't make a lot of money or they make minimum wage, and everything that they can might still not be enough for their children or to provide for their family in the way that they want.
Yep.
So I guess they don't need it, but it can help build a foundation and give them a more level base to build upon, and then maybe work less hours to get an education and to get out of that position.
Wait, and you're okay with that? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I would
Because,
say so.
you're going to hit the job market, and you're going to be, presumably, you're here at Penn State, you're going to be working 40 you're just graduating, so you'll probably be working 60 hours a week, and you're okay with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
When are you not okay? When would you be, you're going to see someone on welfare, collecting welfare, and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not so sure I'm okay with that.
I think when it would be people taking advantage of it and using welfare as not an excuse, but like a security blanket where they don't have to try to get themselves out of that position and to maybe find a job, whether maybe they're using welfare while they're in between jobs, and then stop looking or stop pursuing to get out of that position, I guess.
Okay, and how often is that happening? What's your just kind of assessment, or what do you hear around you that's like, yeah?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of stuff online both ways, but yeah, I'd say that it does happen pretty often, or maybe people get more comfortable than they realize, and aren't trying as hard maybe to get out of that position.
Okay, so now go back to your earlier answer. Welfare exists to help people who need help, right? And for some reason. But now you we back up a little bit. It sounds like you're on two roads here. One is like, yeah, it exists for people to help. But there are people who don't need help. They're making choices that are like,
right? I feel like it probably exists for both. And because maybe one people or one group of people could be taking advantage of it, doesn't mean it should take it away from everybody else that does need it.
Yeah. Huh. So
It's frustrating, I guess.
okay. So Jaden, okay, who's Jamaican? Your mom or your dad?
My mom.
So you're Jamaican. So you're from this culture that's like, hey, you pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
You
yeah.
don't ask for handouts. Like if you mess up, your mom's gonna be like, oh, Jaden, okay, well that's all right. That's probably somebody else's fault. She's Jamaican. She's a Jamaican mom, man. She's gonna be like, Jaden. I can't do the Jamaican accent, but
It's all right. You don't have to try.
all right, that's good because I'll mess it up. Can you do it? Can you do your mom?
No, I could just understand it. I can't speak patois.
All right, but you know when she's pissed
Yeah, of course. Of course.
because you did something stupid,
Yes.
like get somebody pregnant, and then she becomes a single mom.
That would be pretty bad, yes.
Okay, yeah, but Emily's talking about people who are single mothers and they need help, and I'm like, wait, did you not have a role in that, or like, whatever? There's some choice usually. Okay, so at what point in time you're like, yeah, we're all in this together, we're in a community and we got to help each other out, but at what point in time, Jaden, do you go like, you know what, we are in a community, but y'all sitting over there doing nothing? I know Jesus said we should help our brothers and sisters in need, but Jesus didn't say we should help our brothers and sisters who refuse to do anything to help themselves. Maybe he did, I don't know. So at what point in time do you go like, nah, this whole Christian thing is nice, but it has its limits?
Yeah, if it does for sure have its limits, I think, like Emily said, when a group of people or a person isn't actively looking for work and isn't actively looking to increase their quality of life, increase their status, and pursue upward mobility, I think that's when welfare is somewhat wasted on them, and it's more so used as a safety net just to keep them from falling completely under.
And what if they fall? And why do you want to stop people from falling completely under? Maybe that's what they need to have a wake-up call to say like, yo, damn, I didn't realize. Me sitting at home and not working for 6 months was going to have these consequences. So I don't have any food to put on the table. I'm hungry for the first time. Oh, maybe that's the thing somebody needs.
Maybe, but a lot of these times, these people have families, they have relatives that they have to provide for,
Okay.
siblings, husband, wife. So to let them fall completely under would not only be like dooming them, but also dooming their entire family.
Yeah, can I give you something here, the two of you? Most people on welfare are children. They didn't choose it. You know what I mean? So it's like, we can punish the parents, but what about the kids? They didn't choose it. It's not their fault. So like, okay. Danish.
Yes.
All right. What do you think about what we're saying? Like, you're about to graduate, right? Like,
Yes.
I mean, what conversations do you have with your friends on this? Just like, yeah, like what? It's this is it, right? You yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I honestly, online I see a lot of people. Well, this is me using Twitter, so it's all going to be like accounts rage baiting or something. But they're always like, oh, these people are like, shouldn't be using welfare, or like that should be like, be taxed less or stuff like that. But then like my question is, if you don't want your taxes to go to help people in like these situations, then where do you want your money to go, like specifically? Because taxes are supposed to help better the community in a sense.
Okay, better the community. But so if you have a group of people, when you have some people who are not bettering the community because they're just doing nothing, and they're not doing what they could do to improve the community from their end. How are they helping the community?
Well, I mean, there's definitely people abusing the system, don't get me wrong. Like, there's definitely people who, like, take the, like, benefits for granted and whatnot. I don't think the system's perfect by any means. But I think that the situation that is now is definitely more desirable than a situation where the like actual system wasn't there at all in the first place.
So if we had nothing available to people, there's a lot of children who would be growing up without any resources at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, what I'm hearing from the three of you is like, is that you're optimistic about, you reflect people your age, which is what I was saying the other day. That you are like, look, we have war, stop war. We have hungry people, feed them. We have people who are homeless, give them a house. Like, we can fix these problems. You know what I mean? We have this money, like, fix the problem. So the question becomes, so now we're just walking into this space of, yeah, but I just don't know I'm still trying to figure out at what point in time now I'm introducing an idea to you, which is that the main argument with welfare is that we're giving something to someone that they didn't earn, which is okay, that's fine. Sometimes that's important because it's not for long term. It's short term. You don't need it forever. You're on disability for 6 months, and like that helps you out, and then you move forward, right? But there's also a lot of long-term stuff, and then it becomes like an excuse for people. And I'm still just curious as to where you all put your foot down on that.
Could I add on something to that?
Yeah.
I feel like the easiest way to kind of make a comparison with something like this is to look at it at extremes. Because if on one side we have welfare and on the other side we have absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Just for comparison's sake. And I feel like if we take all welfare away, it would do a lot more harm than good. Because although, like the volunteers correctly pointed out, there are certain people that are abusing the system, but there are a lot of people that are genuinely need it and is very advantageous for them that it's there.
Okay.
So I think it would do a lot of good that it's there, and it would do a lot of harm if it's not.
Okay. So, and I got one way it would do harm. Here's one, right? What if, for example, you walk out the door, you walk back to your dorms, your apartment, or whatever, and everywhere you turn, there's people who are asking for money, who are homeless, who are this, who are that, sleeping on the street. It's like, that's not a very desirable world to live in. Right, bro? So, like, here's one way in which it improves the lives of everybody. We're all one community. It's like, I don't want to live in that world, So, I don't know what I have to do to not live in that, but some people are always going to need something. And so, like, all right, whatever, just spend what we got to spend I don't want to step over people. When I go in the city, and I remember, a couple years ago, I was in Washington, D.C., and everywhere I went in Washington, D.C., the public park 2 blocks from the White House I couldn't sit down. It was absolutely filled with homeless people, mostly homeless veterans, by the way. And I'm just like, this is not pleasurable to me. I am not enjoying Washington, D.C. This is disturbing. And everyone's asking me for things, and I'm just like, stop asking me come on, man. What kind of world are we living in? I don't want to live in this world. So there's one way in which, like, yeah, whatever. What do we got to do? Buy you a home? Okay, but it's your fault you're on the street? I don't care whose fault it is. I mean, this was in my mind, right? As I'm stepping over people in the park. I'm like, I don't give a damn why you're here. I don't want to step over you. Like, so do something, whatever we got to do, like, do it, right? So there's something that. Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you guys is welfare only for poor people? Well, welfare is giving something to people that they didn't necessarily deserve. They're getting it because of, for some reason, about, I don't know, not necessarily who they are demographically, but they're getting a handout from the rest of us, like tax money, okay? Is it only poor people who get the handouts?
I mean, I don't think it's only like categorized by people that are homeless on the streets. I think there might be a lot of people that you wouldn't even know, or you might not even be able to recognize that might be on welfare.
Yeah. Receive welfare. Say receive
yes,
welfare.
receive welfare.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so how, okay, like, can you give me an example?
For example, when I was in elementary school, I had like a couple of friends that received free school lunches. And I mean, we were close friends. So it was like something that they could tell me, and it wasn't like, it was just a normal conversation. But I don't think the other classmates might have been able to tell that or know, because they have clothes and they look clean and.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay, somebody else. Is it only poor people? But by the way, that person might have been just as poor as anybody else, but they just had, for whatever reason, they had access to, they were able to sustain things. What about somebody else?
Well, welfare can also be for people who have disabilities, whether that's a physical disability or a psychological disability. And these are groups that are oftentimes ignored, especially in the news, when these people have like very real either mental injuries, physical injuries, disabilities that can, hinder their life, and they deserve, or they receive welfare that can help them live better.
like in what I said, Washington, D.C., right? The disabled vets, many were mentally disabled, mentally ill. They had gone through a lot. These people, the Vietnam War. Dennis, is it only poor people? Welfare. We're giving people something they didn't really work for.
Well, I think ideally probably yes.
Who?
Like poor people.
Yeah.
Because
just poor people?
If you're like making like 200K a month and like you got paralyzed and you need a wheelchair, that wheelchair isn't really making a dent in like what you make anyway. So
all right, okay. So listen, man. It's really interesting to me. Hey, does anybody want to chime? Yeah. Not you, bro. I know what you're going to say.
So someone in like close to my immediate family, it's like they both had a child, and then the biological father is now receiving welfare, but from the biological mother, who's a single mom of 6 girls, now has to pay the government money because he's on welfare, even though he technically owes her child support. Like, how would...
So he's a leech.
How, like, I just...
how's he getting anything?
Yeah.
So this is a system that's broken.
Yeah, that's like my question was like how, like, because I understand like you're all talking about, like, and I understand and I get it, like the welfare is a really good thing, and I agree. It's just how do we try to differentiate like those people versus the people that really need it?
Yeah.
Because obviously like that's taking advantage of the system and
taking advantage of the system. Hey, when is welfare a bad thing?
I feel like it's not, I don't even know if it's a bad thing. It's more that I don't think the system is like processed enough. And like, in my opinion, I think my really close immediate family who is a single mother is probably doing worse than him generally. And the fact that he's just not trying to get a job, I just don't see how that's really fair.
Okay, it's not fair, right? I think we could agree it's not fair, and that's a problem, right? And so the system isn't working the way anybody would argue that it's supposed to work, okay? And this, of course, is why we have a lot of people who are trying to change the system of welfare. Hey, Have you guys ever, bro? Hang on.
Sorry, answering your question, I was thinking things like natural disasters and things like that. Like people with $10 million houses could also get $10 million to repair their house or things like that in welfare. But also, I don't know if you're keeping it to US only, but as a person who lived in Panama, which is more of a third world country with not as good of a government, you see constant, like popular, everyone knows online of people who take advantage of welfare systems who are incredibly wealthy, but like, for example, get their kids to go to college and the government pays for it because they had a connection or things like that.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of welfare being misused, but I don't know if that counts because it's not on purpose. It's just like people breaking the system. So it's more of a regulation issue.
Got you. What's your name again?
Raul.
Hey, okay. Has anyone ever heard of welfare? WEALTH fair? Does anyone? Corporate welfare? Does anybody have any? Bro. Wait, hang on. Anybody else? Anyone? Who in the class is, when I ask the question, wait, hang on, is it just poor people that get welfare? Who in the class wants to raise your hand really high? It's like, no. Come on, are you kidding me? I know you did. That's what. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, an example would be like the 2008 bailout of the companies that kind of just, they took advantage of a loophole in the system to the point where it broke our entire
billion-dollar banks?
Yeah, and it broke our entire economy. And then instead of letting them fail for their bad decision, right? The government stepped in and turned on the money printer, right, to make sure that they wouldn't completely fall apart. And then you can also, if you extend this out even more, a lot of the times, poor people pay an increased tax rate when compared to extremely rich people. Is that welfare? They didn't do anything to earn paying less in taxes overall, but still they are getting that benefit.
Yeah, how about right now? Farmers in the United States there are a lot of farmers, soybean farmers are one, because Trump passed the tariffs. So we have a lot. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But the banks, the automobile companies, the gas companies, the oil companies, one after another. But, we passed the tariffs. And so suddenly overseas, especially the Chinese, are not buying soybeans. They're not buying a lot of the things that a lot of the farmers sell. And so the farmers then turn around and say, hey, listen, you changed the rules of the game here, and we've done everything we're supposed to do. We're planning on where we're going to sell our product, and that we're important because we're keeping the economy going. We're doing all these things. But now you've changed the name of the game, and we can't sell, and we're going under, and our farms are going under, our livelihoods are going under, our communities, we're all in this together, are going under. So listen, President Trump, please help us out. Well, is that welfare? Is that welfare? You're giving people something because they need it. Is that a need? Their farms are going under.
Well, yeah, I'd say that everyone needs a decent source of income, a consistent form of income.
Who needs, wait, hang on. See, what do you mean everyone needs a decent income? What's a decent income, man? Really, honestly, what do you mean? I should have 2 cars in my drive? What's a decent income? A 48-inch television screen or a 60-inch television screen? What are we talking about?
Well, a decent income is different to a bunch of different people, and it can vary. But I'd say whatever income's necessary to make sure that they have everything they need. That means food, water.
Basic needs.
Basic needs, Wi-Fi, all that.
Okay, I got you. Basic needs, all right? Okay, all right, that's cool. Farmers, they are going to President Trump saying, hey, we need help. Our farms are going under. Our livelihoods are going under. You need to help us. This is going to be millions, tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars, okay, to bail them out in welfare for them. Is that okay? We're not talking about so they can buy new land or make investment in cryptocurrency. We're talking about so they can survive. Are you good with that?
I'd say so, yes.
All right. Bro, what do you think?
I mean, I think
First off, do you see that as welfare? Or let me ask you, how is it any different than giving somebody money who doesn't have a place to live? A poor person money who doesn't have a place to live versus giving these farmers money who pretty soon won't have a place to live. What's the difference?
I mean, these farms are going under as a direct consequence of what the government themselves did.
Yeah.
So it's on the government who caused that to give them what they need, because they're going under because of the government's decision themselves.
Okay, so I come from an area of Ohio where there were a lot of manufacturing jobs, and especially union jobs. I mean, when I graduated high school, it's like a lot of my buddies in school went and worked in the union jobs, right? In the automobile companies and so on, right? Those jobs all left, and they started going to Mexico and to Guatemala and to China and so on. So now you suddenly got people who no longer have really good paying jobs, but they have, they're working at Starbucks or whatever it is. I mean, that's what's available to them. So what? They didn't cause that. So who do we help them out? Like, where do you go? Like, how do you?
I mean, did the jobs go abroad because of the government's
jobs
policies?
went abroad because the wealthy people who own the corporations decided we can make more of a profit if we go somewhere else. So it's like, yeah, we'll go somewhere else. Why are we going to stay here? Labor's cheap in Panama. Let's go to Panama. Labor's cheap there. In Pakistan. Labor's cheap in Pakistan. Jamaica. It's really cheap in Jamaica. We're going to go to Jamaica and we're going to manufacture our product there. And now you got these people who are going like, oh, man, I don't. Damn, it's not their fault.
I mean, it's going to sound a bit rough, but because there's like the corporation's decisions, then I don't think the people's money shouldn't be going towards other people that like are being affected by corporations. That's kind of like another issue on its own.
Okay, but hang on then. Then you got this guy right here. Go back to what you said earlier. You got this guy right here who just doesn't want to work. He gets a girl, he gets somebody pregnant, and he leaves her, and now she's a single mother who's trying to go to school and trying to work and trying this and trying that. Bro, and like the J.O. that you are, he splits town. Do we give her? You want to pay for her?
I mean, I think that's why childcare exists.
Yeah, but why would you pay for her and not pay for the person who's equally she didn't choose that this guy's going to leave town. He said he loved her and like, yeah, this is great. I'll be there for you. And then he takes off. The corporation says, hey, we're here for the community. And then one day the corporation takes off. What's the difference? And why should we help her? Because the people there, if you work for that corporation and you know, hey, this is the only job in town, man. It's the only game in town. And if this corporation shuts down, because companies are leaving, they're going to Jamaica, Pakistan, Panama, wherever. If they leave, I'm screwed. If I sign this banknote to buy this house, and the corporation leaves, and the only job I can get is working at Walmart as a cashier for $11 an hour, I'm screwed. I'm going to lose my house. That's a pretty stupid decision on my part to sign the banknote to buy this house. So, like, I better not buy the house. Maybe I should buy a less expensive house. So if that happens, I don't get screwed over. But the next person's like, nah, this is good. Let's take a risk. Let's go. Let's buy the house. And this person here loses their house. They lose everything. And then they go to you and they're like, hey, you got to help me out, man. I lost my house. It's like, oh, God, You gonna help them?
I think if they go below a certain line, welfare would end up helping them anyways, since they could
It
apply
wouldn't
for-
help them anyway. It's not gonna get their house back.
I mean, no, but like,
I don't think this is essentially a yes or no question.
No, it's not. But I'm just putting these things out there to show, like, wait, hang on a second, man. At what point in time, the people who are arguing who have the problems with welfare, Emily, and then we're going to go here, we have a comment. The people who have the problems with welfare are always looking at decisions that people make that put themselves in situations in which they can't take care of themselves. Not children, okay? Most people on welfare are kids. So when you say we shouldn't have any welfare, what you're talking about are innocent kids, man. Like, they didn't choose it. You ever see kids? When I was in Chicago, I was watching this woman beg with she was selling little candies on the street, okay? And she only spoke Spanish. So we spoke in Spanish. And I'm like, how'd you get here? You know, I had a conversation with her, right? I interviewed her. I mean, basically, I was interviewing her, talking to her, like, and we had a really good conversation. She gave me a lot of really useful information, which is what I wanted. And at the end, I gave her $20. I said, here's $20, because thank you. Like, it was like payment for her intellect that she was able to bring to me, right? But the point is, dude, she had a baby strapped to her back right here. And I'm like, that baby did not choose to be on the streets. So if we then pull everything out from under her, we pull it out from under the baby who didn't have a choice. Okay? But then, at the same time, how far we want to go? How far do you want to go? Jaden, how far you want to go in your community here? How far? How much do you want to give? How far? You know what I mean? How far and wide do you want to cast the net? That's the question. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I guess I was just going to say, you essentially kind of made my point, but I'm like, what difference does it make from a billionaire who made some bad investments, or a person who is genetically predisposed to drug addiction, or someone who legitimately doesn't work? Like, if we're arguing, like, I myself, I'm a practicing Christian, and I believe, like, yes, like, we should help as many people as possible. I feel like the argument should be, irregardless of the method, there should be, like, do people deserve to live in the living status of a homeless person? Like, we all know what it looks like because we've seen it, and we don't want that. Like, as human beings, it's not what we want. So does someone, irregardless, like, of the method, like, I believe that either it should say, okay, no one deserves to live like that, and so there should be a system that just baseline, like, if you reach a certain socioeconomic status, there is programs set up. Or if we are arguing that, like, there are certain methods, like I just don't know how you can argue a billionaire who made some bad investments is more deserving than someone who's, like, drug addicted or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name again?
Aiden? Yeah.
Listen, let me ask you this. What about the person who truly, the example over here, what about the person who's just leeching off the system? And they're like, yeah, I know. I just don't feel like working, or I don't feel like doing what I need to do, and I don't care. I'm going to get what I can get, and I'm done.
Yeah, I guess in my opinion, I believe that there aren't enough people within the world to argue that versus the amount of people that legitimately need help.
Got you.
And if we set up this system, we may reach another paradigm shift where it shifts to that, where people are like, well, I just don't have to work anymore. And then we evaluate then. But the system we have right now, we're seeing the repercussions of that. Now we just have a much higher percentage of people that, like, legitimately need help, in my opinion, than people who are taking advantage of the system.
So how would you define, okay, so you ready? Do one of you have a question for him? I have a question for him, if you don't have one.
Actually, can I ask a question to him?
What? Wait, no, hang on. And wait, how would you legitimately define, legitimately need help? You know, I mean, really.
Yeah, that's the golden, like, we can sit here for hours and talk about. I mean, we talked about it briefly, like the TVs and stuff. I believe, like we said, basic human necessities and the ability to support the people within your system. So like if you are a father or a mother that is present within your child's life, the ability to have support for your children, or if you're living alone, the ability to have a home with running water, and maybe, I mean, groceries are so expensive nowadays, but like the ability to have 3 meals a day.
Yeah,
I feel
but
like that's a basis.
Okay, all right.
I have a
I don't
question.
know. Well, because I'm just going to throw out there for a second, right? It's a slippery slope, right? What do you mean 3 meals a day? Like, what are we talking about, right? It's a slippery slope. Everything is, I don't really know, right? Hey, I also want to just say one thing. I don't want to be, mind you, just because of the way you all took the conversation, because I thought at least one of you would be like, no, this welfare stuff, that's a bunch of bullshit, right? I thought one of you would go there, so now I got to go there, which is fine. I can go there because I'm 65 years old, because I turned 65 last week. And by the way, I haven't gotten a single senior discount yet. Like, the only reason to get to 65 is to get senior discounts, you know what I mean? But I haven't gotten anything. So anyway, listen, man. After you work your whole life, I started working, having taxes taken out of my paycheck at the age of 14. So check that out. That's 51 years of me paying taxes. After a while, you start to go like, I've heard this excuse or whatever it is. Like, I hear this. So, all right, bro, go ahead, man. Here. What's your name?
I'm Bennett. Okay, I have a question for like the table or whoever wants to answer this. It's kind of like a diversion, but like same topic. For states with states that ban abortion, research shows that they have very low like welfare goes to like families. Do you think if you have a state that, you know, bans abortion, should those states have more taxes that like go to welfare and like help out families?
Oh, you mean because that means you're probably more likely to see a rise in single parent families, right?
I mean, yeah, I feel like it like does kind of.
You feel like the two
correlate.
are going to go together.
Yeah, because even you said like, oh, like a single parent is like a big reason, like a big part of the population that like needs welfare, and it like goes to the kids. And I feel like, especially like on the right side, they're the ones who want to like cut welfare, but they also don't want to like, they also try to like force people to have kids. So it's like, if you're going to force people to have kids, you also have to put like welfare out there.
Or you got to, and the welfare might be in the form of sex education. They also are generally going to be states which is going to defund sex education. You know what I mean? Or STDs, right? Information about sex education about sexually transmitted diseases. Anything, whatever it is, right? Yeah. Do you have a thought on that?
I think that's such a good question and point, because the understanding would be if so many people, the choice behind an abortion and a decision like that is to assess their resources and their capabilities, if they'd be able to bring a child into the world and adequately like take care of them, feed them, raise them, etc. So when a state is making the decision to ban that, I think it would be assumable that they would put in more assistance to single mothers or single fathers and families to support them because of that choice that they're being forced upon.
Well, first off, yes, one would imagine that would be the case, okay? 2, recognize that when you use force, you know, like, people do, children are procreated sometimes unwillingly, especially like on the part of women, okay, in particular. But just as often it's not. It's just a decision that people make. And like, at some point in time, it is a decision. And at some point in time, people take you have to take responsibility for decisions. Like some of you in this class, as much as we tell you, if you don't do all the readings for the exams, and if you don't watch all the videos, if you think you're going to just guess and narrow it down to 2 answers, you will be sadly mistaken. You will bomb the first exam, and your grade will go from an A to a B plus automatically as the highest possible grade you can get. You're going to send an email to Julie and to me. You're going to be like, oh my God, I can't get less than an A in this class. And I'm like, you didn't listen to us. You didn't listen to us. You thought you could outsmart it, and you didn't listen. So whose responsibility is it going to be? Ours or yours? And you're not going to want to take responsibility because you're going to want to say, like, I know I made a mistake, but I got to really get an A in this class. Okay? So when we're talking about questions of giving somebody or anybody something, right, that's from the public coffers, you do understand that with each person, you can probably walk backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards and find the space where they made some decisions that were really bad decisions they should not have made, and that got them into this position here. And they made bad decisions, and now, okay, we'll take care of that?
Well, sometimes those bad decisions are a result of poor education. That poor education is often founded in...
Okay. Or just a random bad decision. We all make bad decisions, and sometimes if you get a B in this class, it's not going to be the end of the world for you, trust me. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. But if you something else, get suddenly disabled because you did something, you made a bad decision, you were speeding in your car, you got in an accident, you're paralyzed from the waist down, that's a whole different matter altogether. So it's like, maybe you were speeding because you were on your way to home because your dog got hit by a car, and you're trying to get home to get your dog, to take your dog to the vet. And like, okay, and anyone would say, well, that was, you were trying to get to your dog. All right, whatever. You see, these are complicated things. Yeah, bro.
So my name's Dennis. Just a story a little about me. So my parents were divorced since I was like very young. My mother had to pay child support. I was raised by my father. My dad didn't get any welfare, but he worked 80-hour work weeks in order to take care of me. And I'm sure it could be done with other people too. You could say single mothers and single fathers, but they can bust their ass and get it done.
All right.
Provide for their kids, right?
Okay.
So maybe they shouldn't get welfare. If they can actually work, then they shouldn't get it.
Okay. Dude, Dennis's dad did it. Oh, dude, Dennis's dad did it. Well,
I mean, yeah, that's incredibly admirable. I think that, everyone should work as hard as they can to get themselves out of a situation, but not everyone is able to work 80-hour work.
Wait, why not?
Because they have responsibilities, they have to take care of a family. If they are a single parent, they have a family to take care of. They can't just leave their child at home.
My dad left me at home. I took care of myself.
You were the only child?
I was the only child.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Okay.
He didn't have 6 kids. Wait, how many kids did the person have? 6? 6. So he didn't have 6, okay?
All right. I'm an only child, but I still ate some days cereal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah. Dude. No, listen, I got that. My dad died when I was 9, and I basically raised myself. I came home from school, I made my lunch, I did this, I did that. I mean, that's fine. Okay, so you did that, right? Wait, are you the guy in ROTC? Yeah, okay, and you are really, you're in it, man. Like, you're moving forward in the same way your dad did. But what do you say to people who, bro, life's hard, man, okay? Like, really, life's hard. Like, there are people in this classroom who right now are hanging on by their fingernails, trying to like just stay in school or feeling depressed. It's just hard. Life's difficult, man. And so sometimes you just give a little bit of like, okay, man, I know it's hard. Not everyone can do it. So let me ask you a question. Do you really think that everyone can do it?
If they have a child support to support, they need to bust their ass. Like if I had a son right now, I'm married, and for God forbid my wife, has some accident, I have to provide for that child.
So you're going to do that no matter what?
I'm going to do it. I have an obligation.
Yep.
To my son, my daughter, whatever the case.
Okay, yep. Same with me. I mean, I'm there on that. And most people say that, but sometimes people hit the wall and they can't follow through. And when they can't follow through, there's a lot of reasons they can't follow through, right? So what do you think about a message that says, like, hey, listen, if people need help, we should help them? What do you think about that message?
Now, I definitely agree with Jaden. Like, I'm a follower of Christ as well, and I watched one of your lectures or listened to what you said, and what would Jesus spend? And he would give away all his money. However, we're greedy people, and we like to keep our wealth to ourselves. And to answer his question, where would my money go? Instead of spending it out on welfare, it would go in my pocket to support my family.
Or what if it only went to people who really were trying to help themselves? So like you don't teach someone, you don't give someone fish, you teach them how to fish.
Right. No one likes people who just skate by off the backs of other people.
Okay, dude, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, and I don't know what it is, right? I tend to fall in this. I'm a registered libertarian, right? So I tend to fall in the place of like, hey, you got to take care of yourself, man. I was working a full-time job at the age of 14. So I'm like, and I put my money away. When I got my very first paycheck, it was $77 was my take home. $77. I made $1.80 an hour. Okay? I took that paycheck, I took $10 out of it, $10, and I put the rest in the bank. Right? And the next week, when I got my next paycheck, I had like $8 in my wallet because I only spent $2. And like, okay, that's me. And if I'm doing that, I'm looking at you and you and you and you, and I'm like, well, you all should do the same thing. Like, what are you doing? Like, you should do that. So that's hard. This is a question. But hang on. Can we, bro? Where are you at? Oh, yeah. All right, man.
So we spent a lot of time, talking about hard work. And I think,
wait, what's your name?
Oh, my name's Evelyn, sorry. I think, the framework of thinking of welfare is, they made a mistake. They didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. When I feel like the system that we are existing under, especially nowadays in America, is just very, very difficult to, you could be working 40 hours and still not be able to provide for your family, minimum wage is super low. I guess my question would be, is it healthy to really think about these people as just making a mistake, or when it's so easy to make those mistakes?
Okay, yeah, that's a really cool question. We're not going to answer it. That's just thanks for asking that question. Okay, that's a really cool question. I have a question for I want someone to answer this, by the way. Can you, if you can answer my question. Here's my question. From what I know, from all the research I've done, which I think I'm quite fair-minded on this, welfare to poor people is a fraction. It's a really tiny amount compared to welfare for rich people. Okay? I mean, the millionaires and billionaires who are getting handouts everywhere. Okay? The corporations, corporate welfare. I mean, oh God, if you only knew, right? So, like, how is it that we're not, do you have a response to this? So my question to you is, like, why don't we talk about that as a nation?
Hello. All right. So I just want to say, Gianna. I just want to say MLK has been talking about this since the 60s.
Yeah.
He mentioned socialism for the rich, social welfare for the rich, capitalism for the poor.
Yeah.
And
wait, hang on. Socialism for the rich. You got it? Socialism. The government props up wealthy people and big corporations. And capitalism for the poor. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps for the poor. Martin Luther King, if you know nothing about Martin Luther King, know that that was a fundamental message. Right. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of this has to do with corporate suppression. There's a lot of corporate suppression in society. For example, what is being said about, people who bust their ass off to make a living. What if they can't do that? For example, when you were in DC and you had to walk over people on the streets, big corporations and big companies will keep a steady homeless population as a union busting tactic.
Yeah.
And so basically, homeless people are a tool to them.
Can be a tool to them. Yeah.
Yes, dude. And they want to stop people from lifting themselves up.
All right. Dude, I wish thanks for that, by the way. Thanks. That's very cool. It's another message. I don't think it's chance that when I put welfare up on the board, we immediately think of poor people. We don't think of rich people. And if I said, hey, give me an example, we have one example. Do you know how much money the banks, the ownership of the banks got in 2008 when the financial industry collapsed? Do you have any idea? And then Obama took them, all the owners of the banks who caused the crisis, and he brought them in to his administration to do what? To run the banks. You know what I mean? Like, if you had any idea, man, God. But I can't say that because I sound like a socialist.
Yeah.
Yeah. The socialist. Dude, what do you think about that? When I tell you, the three of you, okay, I want to come back here. When I tell the three of you about welfare, dude, welfare for the rich and the corporations. Well, does it make you curious to want to know? Go, Emily.
I mean, that's not like the first thing that I thought of when you put up welfare, but it definitely makes me more intrigued to learn a little bit more about that or look into it more.
How many times in your life have you had kind of conversations about welfare and poor people and, should we help them and homeless people and so on?
I'd say a good amount, probably.
How many times in your life have you had a conversation about the money that we give to the rich in this country and how much it is and how we do it and where it happens?
Probably not enough.
And have you ever had it?
I'm sure my family's discussed it and I've been like in and out of conversation, but it's definitely interesting.
Dennis, have you ever had that conversation?
No. I mean, when I actually heard like welfare, like I thought it was only a program for the poor. I know of the handouts that are given to the rich, but I thought they come under a different category or like a different name.
Well, we don't call it welfare.
Yeah.
We call it capitalism. We call it, a capitalist investment into the economy to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Like, we don't have that at all. But you're 18 years old, right? You're a Christian, you're optimistic, dude, study welfare, okay? At some point.
For sure, I got you.
All right. Just study that. And by the way, when you get to be my age, hopefully it's not the case. Hopefully your heart is still really open, but as you age, and you go to work every day, and I work 60-hour weeks. There's a point in time when you start to go like, damn, man, I'm wearing myself out. Wait, I'm going to give you, oh, wait. Did you have a comment? Can you do a quick comment? Because we're going to do the quiz.
So I just had a comment for, I forget who it was in the back
Yeah.
talking about his dad. I think there's a lot of aspects to that we kind of just glazed over, and there's a level of pride that comes with accepting government assistance, and it's
Yeah.
really hard for people to. But I don't think the resistance to it makes anyone more or less superior than somebody that accepted it. And also,
Yeah.
welfare can be used for childcare. So if
Yeah.
there's a mom collecting welfare to send her kid to daycare,
So that she
getting
can
a
work.
nanny, so she can work to
Yeah.
then feed her kid.
Which is very common. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that was something I just wanted to touch on.
Yeah, no, I
because-
think that's fair. And I think that there's a lot of work programs right now. The Trump administration, one thing that is really trying to do is push a lot of work programs to be like, listen, you gotta you can't just receive something, you gotta give something back somehow. It's complicated to do, but nonetheless. Hey, listen, can we have a round of applause for you all here?